Thank you very much for still being here with us. We'll dive straight to the first conversation for today. Today's conversation is one that we cannot avoid because it affects our homes, it affects schools, it affects communities, and our future as a nation. We're talking about gender-based violence, and it's no longer a hidden, issue. When we talk about gender-based violence, we talk about it from domestic angle, domestic abuse, sexual violence, harassment, exploitation, and now digital abuse. Yes, the impact is deep and it's far-reaching, especially amongst young people. Yes, the stigma. With the stigma, the unfortunate thing is that a lot of times we blame our victims, and these victims suffer in silence, afraid of the stigma, the blame, or even retaliation. So this morning, we're not just talking about the problem. We are asking tough questions about systems, accountability, and reform. Our topic is Safe Nigeria, reforming Nigeria's approach to gender-based violence. And joining us is one very important person. Yes, she is someone that is involved in youth empowerment and is serving in the capacity of public relations officer in one of these organizations. Yes, you get to meet my guest after the break. Please don't go anywhere. Okay, thank you very much for still being here with us. So this morning we are joined with Grace Odoh Theresa. Yes, she's representing a foundation that is in charge of things around youth empowerment, gender-based violence, and the likes of it. You're welcome to Global Money. Welcome to the conversation, Miss Grace.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's start with the very first question I have, from your work in youth empowerment, how would you describe the current state of gender-based violence in Nigeria?
I would say, surprisingly or not, the state of gender-based violence in Nigeria is escalating. It is on the increase, and this is influenced by norms that were allowed to be prevalent in our society, like patriarchal social norms and the culture of not holding some certain kind of people to the actions, or not holding them to the consequences of their actions. Yes.
Okay. How have you guys handled, just a follow-up on that question, what is the walk-in rate? Do you people handle situations around gender-based violence? Do you have people walk into your organization, your foundation, to say, oh, I need you to help me, I am being abused one way or the other? Has there been any of such?
Yes, once or twice, but basically what we do is try to prevent that from even happening in the first place.
Okay.
So you empower these women and educate them, so this does not happen in the first place.
Okay. For many cases actually never get reported, and that is our reality. Why do victims, especially young girls, often remain silent? In your opinion, what do you think has fueled this practice?
In my opinion, and working with young girls especially, we have come to understand that there are so many reasons why these young girls refuse to speak up, why they choose to be silent when they get victimized. And one of the reasons is blaming them. There's this blame people give to the victims, like victims blaming and the stigma. For example, you hear things like, what was she wearing? Why was she wearing that? What time was she out? Why was she out by that time? Do you understand? So blaming them and the stigma also. And survivors are seen as, oh, this girl that was damaged, or especially when it comes to sexual violence. Yes, survivors are seen as no longer good or no longer pure, and they're now tarnished, or they now have some certain kind of stain. So because of this kind of stigma and being blamed, young girls prefer to remain silent, yes, on issues. Then you also have the inappropriate questions being asked by the judicial system. They ask some kind of questions that are very uncomfortable, and they get to question you like so many rounds of questioning. And for someone who has gone through certain kinds of abuse, that line of questioning or the inappropriate questions does not even help. It becomes so tasking for the victims, and it leads to like second trauma. They get to relive what has happened over and over again. Yes, that's also one of the reasons why they remain silent. Then another reason is trying to protect their family. It's still under the stigma, and they don't want people seeing their family as a family that has someone who has been abused in this kind of way, or the family even choose sometimes to protect their family and ask these victims to remain quiet, to handle whatever has happened quietly, so as to avoid some kind of public scandal and to like maintain the family reputation. Yes. Then and sometimes young girls are dependent on their abusers. Yes, like you see young girls who probably live with the people that abuse them. So they depend on the abusers for finance, schooling, basic necessities. Yes, so that is another reason why they keep silent. Then another reason why they keep silent is lack of trust in, or it takes a very long time, spanning over 3 years, to get the justice that they so dearly need. And another reason why victims face silence is they do not know their rights. It might sound surprising, but some people do not know their rights. They don't know the extent to which their rights, know where to go for help. Yes. So, but these are some of the so many reasons why victims, or they feel their abusers are they have higher powers, or there's someone in power, and they feel if they get to speak out, they get threats from their abusers, and since the person is in power, it might just lead to more abuse for them.
Okay, in your experience, what forms of gender-based violence are growing the fastest amongst Nigerians?
Among Nigerians, in recent times, forms of gender-based violence are growing very fast. But the one growing fastest at the present time is the digital stroke online gender-based violence.
Okay.
Where you have cyberbullying, people being harassed online. You see people sharing intimate images of other people without even asking for permission or consent. Yes, and you see things like, for the young ones, online grooming, where young people are being exposed to certain pornographic pictures or pornographic pictures, yes, and videos. And from there, it just keeps growing. They keep grooming these young ones in a way that it gets to a point where they start asking them for their intimate pictures and like that. So the fastest growing at the moment is the digital stroke online based gender-based violence.
Okay, so how does that really result to gender-based violence? I want you to tell us the relationship between the online, movement and resulting gender-based violence.
Okay, we already know when we talk about digital and gender-based violence, there are so many aspects of it. There's cyberbullying, threatening people online, non-consensual sharing of their intimate pictures and videos. Now, when it comes to online grooming, like I said, these young ones are groomed from like very early, and what it does is it makes them ignorant of how damaging sharing these intimate pictures can be. Yes, so you form the mind of a person when they are young. Their mind and how they think get formed while they're still young and they're still growing. So now online grooming now makes the abuser take advantage of their youth, their being young, to start making sharing of intimate picture to look like a normal thing, to look like the norm, while it is wrong. That's exploitation. They're exploiting young people and mostly adolescents of so many things, their intimate pictures and even their mind. They're exploiting their mind.
Okay, maybe we should have even started by defining gender-based violence for those people watching that don't even understand. A lot of people are going through that. They don't even know that is what they are going through. So let's start by laying a foundation on what it truly is. What is gender-based violence?
All right. Thank you for that question. The thing about gender-based violence, to define it in a very plain language and plain form to be easy, for easy assimilation, is causing harm to a person because of their gender.
Okay.
Yes, because of their gender.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. What are the major social cultural factors that continue to normalize gender-based violence?
Okay. The major cultural and social factors. There's so many. For the first one, I talked about previously in why victims remain silent. The first one will be victim blaming narrative.
Okay.
It happens a whole lot in society where victims are being blamed, and some certain kind of hurtful words are said about victims, like they asked for it. If not, why were they dressing the way they were dressing? Why were they out? Why was she in an enclosed space with him? And like that. Now, they focused based on what the victim did or did not do, instead of focusing on the abuser's actions. Like, the abuser did this. Why don't you face on the action? Why don't you face on what has been done to the victim? You're now facing the morality of the victim. I don't know if you understand that. So, in society, it is so easy, or there's a tendency to question the victim's behavior, or even the victim's choice of clothing or attire, instead of focusing on the abuser's actions. That is one. Then, like I said, why they remain silent. Another social or cultural factor is the avoiding public scandals by victims' family. They don't want their family to be seen in a kind of way. They're trying to protect their family's reputation. Then another one is rigid gender norms. Rigid gender norms. For example, there's this belief that men are superior to women in the society, especially around our parts of the world. There's this belief that women are inferior to men, and giving the men the superiority to now feel like they have the right to control or punish women and girls, and then they give the excuse of religious or traditional teachings that gives them the right to be able to control women or to punish women or to discipline girls and women because they are male. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yes, I do.
Yes, so rigid norms like that. Then we also have
but some people argue that they want to quote religious books saying that the man is greater, especially in the marriage context. Most times gender-based violence really occurs in marriages, and a lot of people want to quote context around the man being head and all of that, saying that when there is any form of disrespect, or sometimes they want to also blame the woman for, in quotes, disrespecting to deserve whatever it is, or to have a backlash, or to have a what do I call it now, resulting action of maybe the man in gender-based violence. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. In that context, what would you say?
Okay, in that context, I believe religion doesn't encourage gender-based violence. What has happened is misinterpretation of these religious texts or even the traditional teachings. While the religious texts or like the religious passages for Christians would say the man is the head or the woman should submit to the husband, it also teaches that the man should love the woman or his wife as he loves himself. A man would not be violent to himself if he loves himself. So he should not do that to his wife or to his woman. That's coming from the angle of marriage now.
But do you think anybody is justified by saying, okay, you disrespected me, and this is, since you've disrespected me with your words, because most times they will say women they have dangerous words, they are mouthed and all of that. Okay, say, since you disrespected me, what did you do? When a woman comes out to say, I was hitting, I was beating, say, the question they want to ask is, what did you do? Do you understand? Is there any justification to, gender-based violence in that regard?
No, there's no justification to gender-based violence in that regard. That's still victim blaming. Because she comes to you telling you she was being abused in some certain kind of way, and the first thing you ask is, what did you say? What did you do? You're trying to find a blame on her part. You're trying to blame her. So that is victim blaming. So I believe when someone disrespects you, the first thing to do is to communicate. Communicate that this is what you have done. And in most cases, it is not the woman, should I say, throwing the first punch. It is the man throwing the first act of abuse because he feels he has been disrespected. When disrespect happens, the first thing to do is communicate, okay, I feel disrespected by this you have done, or by this you have done, and this is why I feel disrespected. Because most of the times, if the same men get disrespected by fellow men, the first thing they do is not result into violence. So why is it different when it comes to their wives or to women? is why it is named gender-based violence, because you are harming these women or performing harmful actions on them because they are women.
Okay. So is it anyways, let me just go to the next question. Do you think Nigeria has functional nationwide support system for survivors?
For that question, I would say no. Sincerely, I would say no. There are legal frameworks. For example, the Violation Against Persons Prohibition Act. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yes.
Yes, good. They have legal frameworks like that. But now, the problem is the enforcement with those kind of framework is weak. And one of the problems why the enforcement is weak is because it has been delegated to states, that states should delegate these acts to their own jurisdiction or to their own use. Now, when you domesticate these acts, or when you give states or various states the right to domesticate these acts, it gives them the right also to take away from the act whatever they feel they want to take away from the act.
Okay.
I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Yes, it gives the states the right to take away whatever they want to take away from it, put whatever they want to put, or twist it in their kind of way to probably meet their own criteria or something like that. And apart from the domestication problem, we also have that so many states have not done anything regarding these acts. So many states in Nigeria. So in Nigeria, the enforcement of that act is very, very weak. Yes, it's weak. Then, majorly the support system for survivors due to this weak enforcement and safe shelters are not even very available. They're scarce. So now it now falls back to non-governmental organizations like us and civil societies to now tirelessly work to help survivors of gender-based violence.
Okay.
So as a country, Nigeria does not really have a functional or nationwide support system for survivors.
Okay. Do we have private organizations that really do that from, say, the place of no profit? Do we have non-profit organizations that really go? Because I think there are times that I have actually heard that women walk up to some organizations that pose as people that help, but most of them demand money from those victims. So I understand that it's not easy to run such a course, but I also know there's a place in there's something called philanthropy, right? And sometimes you start such a cause not to really profit. That's why it's called a non-profit organization. So what happens when this non-profit organization that pose as NGOs really now start demanding money from victims with such situations?
From my point of view, that is wrong. That is wrong. But like you said, organizations that pose as non-governmental organizations. Now, the main aim of non-governmental organizations is to help those in need of shelter, need of safe spaces. Now, if they are in need, if they have the financial dependence or independence, if they have the financial independence, I don't believe they'll be running to probably non-governmental organizations to seek for help or safe spaces. So I condemn the act of organizations that pose as non-governmental organizations to now kind of exploit survivors or ask for money to be able to help them. That doesn't make any sense, and that is not the aim. And really, that Kiajer would never ask for any financial, financial
Benefits.
benefits, yes, from survivors to be able to help them. They're running to you because they need that help. And you should be able to open your hands widely and use all your resources to be able to help them in every way possible. So the act of asking survivors for financial benefits is condemnable. Though yes, like you said, it is not easy on the part of we non-governmental organizations. And that is very resourceful, but we are asking the government agencies to be able to work with us, to be able to put in commitment into these non-governmental organizations and civil society organizations to be able to help. Because in society, we are the first line of actions or the first response these survivors get, because they do not trust the enforcement agencies anymore, like the police.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they do not trust these agencies anymore because of the low responses, their situations being put under the carpet, and like I said before, being asked inappropriate questions and made to live the trauma over and over again. So they do not trust these agencies, and the first place for response they go to us, non-governmental organizations. It's not easy. I believe the governments should look into funding non-governmental organizations, making commitments to these organizations so that they are able and they are capable of helping these survivors get back into the society. Yes.
Okay, let me just ask the very last one before we go. I'll ask these two questions in one. How can schools, religious institutions, and youth centers become safer spaces? Then what strategies can empower survivors to speak up without fear, shame, or retaliation? Then, let me add this very last one. What is your message to Nigerians, both victims and those who want to get part of the solution? So if you don't get all, I'll still repeat, the ones that you didn't get clearly.
Okay, I would answer the ones I got.
Okay.
Yes, I would start with strategies we can use to empower survivors to speak out without fear. Now, one of the strategy is your communication with the survivor should be centered on the survivor. Shift your communications from blaming the survivor to telling the survivor, we believe in you. You're not alone. We are going to work with you through this whole process of getting justice, of healing from the trauma. We are going to be working with you. So your communication with the survivor should be centered on how to help the survivor, how to let the survivor know that they are not alone. Now, it should be your communication should shift from do not be a survivor or do not be a victim to being that we believe in you. Whatever happens or whatever you come across, we are with you. Remove that internal shame that you are a victim. No, you need to remove that and let them know that they're not just victims, but since they're not alone, they can go above being victims. Then another thing or another strategy to help survivors speak up is timely aid. Timely, give them justice timely and let it be free. Let there be no financial benefit on your end. Let them be able to access aid, even medical aid, because most of them didn't need medical aid after the abuse has been meted out on them. Free medical treatment, free legal counsel, whatever they need in that time should be free. There should be no financial burden on them. That is another thing. Then, reintegration supports. Give these survivors training, give them scholarships, offer them grants, you understand, empower them so that they do not go back to being financially dependent and wanting to run back to their abusers. So one of the key, should I say, medicine or antidotes to fear is independence. If they get that independence, it takes away the fear or the shame. It takes away majorly the fear of retaliation, because even if the abuser tries coming back, the abuser is not coming back to meet them at the level they were. They have moved above that level. They have now gained independence. Then another strategy is we should celebrate courage. When these women are courageous enough to speak up, we should celebrate them in order to allow other survivors to be, or other victims to be able to speak up and speak out and not remain silent. Then another thing is we should guarantee these survivors that whatever they tell us is in confidence. Yes, confidentiality. Yes, we should let them know that confidentiality is guaranteed. That's one thing they will get whenever they speak up. They should not be scared of their matters going out and being spread abroad. They should know that whatever they see is in confidence. Yes. So that is for the strategies. Then you said something about how schools and religious institutions
can help.
Can help, okay. And I would say one of the ways schools, for example, schools can help is adding whatever has to do with gender-based violence into their curriculum. Yes, into their curriculum. They should add this. Now, we keep saying the abuser, this. Another thing is educating these abusers, because they were once young children. So if you educate people, they get to know that, because sometimes these abusers do not even know that what they are doing is actually very wrong. They have just bent societal norms, do you understand, to know that, okay, this is a way of me resolving conflicts with the opposite gender. So if you get to let them know or educate them that, no, you resolve conflicts or disrespect with non-violent means. You talk, you communicate. If you educate them from a very young age, it helps a whole lot.
Okay.
Then, yes, for religious institutions, they should cut out or scrap out should I put it, advocacy. Religious leaders or traditional rulers should not be mediators. So when these victims run to religious leaders or traditional leaders, the first thing these leaders should do is direct them to the right professionals or right places to get justice and help. Do not mediate. Do not start pastoral counseling or a training or whatever. Just direct them to the professionals or experts for this kind of violences. Then there should be policies against gender-based violence. You understand? Especially in school, it should be placed at entrances. The violence is not supported, and yes, stuff like that.
Well, it's been an insightful conversation with you, I must say. Our time is fast spent. Yes, and at this point we want to draw the curtains. But before we go in, just 1 minute or in 30 seconds, do you have any final words?
Okay. My final word is to first victims and survivors. Your voice, you need to speak up. That's the power you have. Your voice is actually your power. Speak up. Seek help immediately. And then do not be redundant, because your future, in fact, the very next day is not defined by what even happened yesterday. Yes, so your future is not defined by what has happened. Your success or your ability to move on is intact. It is fully intact. So what you should focus on is your healing, your independence, how to make the future better.
All right.
So you're not defined by what happened.
All
yes.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Theresa. Thank you. I really appreciate your time with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Encouraging, and I'm sure if there's anyone going through any kind of that, they will at this point begin to speak up. Thank you for joining us on Global Morning, Theresa, and do enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.